Hello there, thanks for watching this little introduction to ScoreFlash, a package for the Unity Asset Store, which is about to be released very soon. Let me take you into our beloved Unity and import the package. This is an empty project, but you could also import this to a project that you already have. There's a few files in here, and there's more in an example package. And when you look here, there's one editor folder and a plugins folder. Maybe you already have these folders, and then when you open that, you'll see there's an Ariana Games, there's a README, which explains what this is, and also all the files that are included in the package. And then when you go down here into Ariana Games ScoreFlash, you'll see the magical prefab, and all you have to do is pull that prefab into your scene and hit play, and you'll already see that there's something going on there. And the reason for that is that we have a testing mode which is enabled by default, which auto-generates messages. So if you don't want these messages to be auto-generated, which usually will be the case, you just switch that off, then this disappears and there's no more messages, but you have a button that you can use for the same purpose. So you can also just type in any message. This is a test message, and show message, and there you go. That's very easy. But actually, auto-generate messages is really practical and convenient while you are in the, design phase of creating your, your ScoreFlash implementation. One thing that you should notice here is that I have keep changes after play enabled. So in other words, any changes that I make when I go out of play mode are, will be saved. Even though usually Unity doesn't do that. So as you can see, everything is red here because I'm in play mode, which usually tells me that I shouldn't make any changes that are really important. But yeah, with this nice little feature, this is not a problem. So let's go through the settings. There's in general a couple of different foldouts here. The first is main layout, and this defines the skin which is used. We're using Unity GUI, and so you can do anything in the skin. The important thing here is that there's a custom style called ScoreFlash, and then this has the font that I'm using, and the alignment is actually set from code and also stuff like word wrap, because I don't want to create too much room for errors on the user side there. This one actually doesn't seem to work that well, but screen alignment, top or bottom. And as you can see, this also has a padding, so you can say, well, this should be about 200 pixel, which in this case is a little bit far above, but also 10 pixels, so it starts very low. And if you have middle alignment, obviously padding doesn't make a lot of sense. So this isn't shown here. Then there's maximum simultaneous messages, which basically will make sure that you don't show too much stuff at the same time. The messages aren't immediately taken away, which would look a little bit cool, but would look weird. But what happens is that the messages age very quickly, so they disappear very quickly. So this is still doing a pretty good job. Then there's min distance between messages, which creates, if I add this here, include message bursts, then you'll see this happening. This basically makes sure that the messages have a little bit of distance between them if there's many messages coming very quickly one after the other. As you can see here, this goes up, and there's also spread speed, which is a parameter that you can set to make sure that this, is according to your taste. So if that's a very low value, you'll see like 0.1. You see that when the next burst comes, almost nothing happens. And if you take a very large value, let's say 20, as soon as the next burst comes, and I'm going to speed that up here a little bit. I'm going to reduce the delay between the messages to see what's going on here. So now you really see the effect of this. And also when I say max simultaneous messages, now you see that this really cuts it off very quickly. But if I say 10, for instance, this doesn't happen anymore. And I'm also going to put it down because on that screen, that's going to show a little bit more the effect that this has. Basically, this pushes these up. And when I, oops, sorry, I was in the wrong setting. Here's the distance between the messages. So if I decrease that, there's less distance between the messages. And if I increase it, there's a huge distance. And I could also use negative values here. Depending on the line spacing of the font, you really have to tweak that according to your needs. So that's that. Then you can disable outlines, which doesn't really have an effect right now because I have this camera with this very dark background, but now you'll see the effect. This is without the outlines, and this is with the outlines. So depending on your game, you either need that or you don't, but be aware that this adds quite a few draw calls. And if you wish to, you could also add a color outline here. So that's really up for your creativity. And usually these should be disabled on mobile. But you could also enable them on mobile if you want to make sure that this looks the same on mobile. So that's the general settings. Now there's 3 phases: fade in phase, reading phase, fade out phase. And basically you can control each of these phases. You have an initial color, you have a fade in time, which I could slow down. So now it's very slow. I'm gonna also make the reading phase a little bit longer and change my test settings here, because right now everything goes very quickly and that's not really helpful for this. So I'm disabling the message bursts. I have longer messages and everything is really slow now. And I'm gonna change the background color again because I like this dark blue much better. So we were in the fade-in phase. Now, obviously, there's this initial color, and that's the color this starts with. And then it fades in this time. Like, let's say, makes it a little bit quicker. And this time, this fades from red to yellow, or we could say, let's make this dark red and start with a higher opacity. So now I can see the effect here. And also there's the initial offset, which means the distance between where the message really starts and where it's coming from. So I could increase that to a really high value, and then you'll see that it comes from above the screen, or depending on what you really want, you could also set this to 0 and then it will just appear there, which may be the best thing in many cases. Or let's go to middle again. I could also make this move in from below. Oops. Initial offset. This is wrong. Ah. Okay. So if this is a positive value, I was confused, then it's coming from below, and if it's a negative value, it's coming from above. One really nice feature here is that you can use animation curves to drive pretty much everything that's being animated. So as you can see here, this starts and then it goes a little bit above and then below. This at the moment maybe a little bit confusing because I'm also scaling with this thing. So now you got it all straight. Do I? Okay, scaling is straight and this is straight. Now everything is straight and you have these default easing methods of Unity, or you could do something really crazy if you want to. Probably you shouldn't, but you could if you wanted to. Is this the right curve? Oh, I was editing the curve of the color effect, so you can see the color is changing. Sorry. Oh, now I know what the mistake was. Okay. So now we do the initial offset. Sorry for the confusion. And now you got it all crazy, moving around in really weird ways. And I can do the same for the scale. And let me show you something. I can also really go above the scale here. So I mean, not everything that you can do really makes sense from an artistic point of view, but you have the freedom to do anything you want. So I guess that's quite nice. And that works, as mentioned before, for pretty much all the different animation parameters. So there's the initial offset, there's initial scale, which usually will start at a very low value, but you could also start at a very high value to make this, whoa, come in very quickly. That's a little bit too much. Let's do 20 and make this much faster. So that's also a nice effect. Make it come, zoom in, or maybe just 10. This obviously also depends on the font size that you're using. Okay, so that's the fade-in phase. Then there's a reading phase. That's the phase that you would expect the player to read the message. Again, you've got a start color and an end color. And also here's the velocity. This is handled in a different way. I don't have a specific value that this lerps to or eases towards, because with all these optimizations, like pushing stuff out of the way when there's too many messages coming in, this wouldn't work with a fixed value. So I'm having this velocity, and the velocity is driven by a curve once again, and there's again the scale. So you could scale this up at the end. Oops. Scale this up. So now it's getting really big and then small again. Anything is possible. There's a few optimizations here that's for reading, because you might have some messages that are very short and you don't need a lot of time for them for the player to read them. And you may have longer messages, and this is also included for testing, include very long messages. You'll see something very soon. This is very long, and this takes time to read, much more than the other one. So you can say how long, what is the threshold for this to start happening, and then for these very long messages, I might want to have them like 5 seconds. So the time, like 5 seconds is added to the 3 seconds of the general read time, and so that means 8 seconds for these very long things. So I think that's that makes this very versatile. And finally, the fade out phase does pretty much the same, and there's also this rotation that you could have in the end, so that, and you could also have a initial rotation. I'll make the reading phase a little bit shorter, and also the starting phase already is quite short, and I'm gonna put it on the bottom again so that you see the effect. So here, well, spinning around like crazy. So that's it. And as mentioned before, when you have keep changes in play active and you close, everything is still there. which I think is quite awesome. Can include the message bursts again. Okay, so that's basically it. So to use that, you would switch off the auto-generate messages and you would create a little script. Create C# script, my cool ScoreFlash script. And now I need to move over to Visual Studio so I can show you how this works. Alrighty, here we go. So this is a very simple script, and I say public void on GUI, and I create just a little button. Make it really big. Awesome stuff. And now the nice thing is that this is a singleton, so you can access it from anywhere. There you go. I will attach that to a cool game object. Let's see if that works. Okay, no test messages anymore. Bam, awesome stuff happened. And you can spam it in there as much as you like. So as you can see, this is really fairly easy, and probably you don't need all the other information, but it is available. So under help, you find Arena Games, ScoreFlash documentation, and this takes you right to the web page, which has more information than you probably need, and a little funny web player going on here. And this also links to the API documentation, which is, well, quite a little bit of stuff. There's a util class you might look into, a little queue that you can use if you want to. And then obviously the actual ScoreFlash class, and to make it very easy and convenient for you. So you can also directly go into the fields here. And this explains in a little bit of detail all the different fields that you see here in this very long inspector. And you'll probably notice that the names here are different here than they are here, because this is for artists and this is for programmers. So to get a feeling for this, you can also use the default inspector, which automatically uses the same names that I'm also using here. So that way it will be a little bit easier to match the two, the documentation and the inspector. What else is there? There's an introduction video, which I'm currently recording. And yeah, there's also, maybe you've already seen this little demo. So finally, let me just show you one more thing, and then this is complete. There's the ScoreFlash examples. When you open that and you import, you will find very nice stuff in the Asset Store examples folder. So if you go here, and there's a couple of nice scenes. Let me take the ScoreFlash example scene, which is a very basic scene with an example. Oh, this is actually wrong. This should be without this and without that, because that is the demo ScoreFlash. Yeah, that contains these examples and also that. So here you go, there's a C# example. Oops, that's large. C# example, a JavaScript example, Boo example, and well, all these settings. And the ScoreFlash example scene actually is just a simple scene which yeah, is there to get you started. And you can also try out these different skins here by simply assigning them. Basically, these are just a few different fonts that you can play around with. Pacifico is also very nice, kind of like a script style. Yeah, I think that's basically it. Oh yeah, and then of course there's the examples, and mono develop is not so great, but here you can see an example in Boo or in JavaScript. And you see here, that's all there is to it. ScoreFlash instance show blab, that's it. And in Boo, same thing. And in C#, as you've seen already, also very simple. So I hope you really enjoy using this. Oops. And if you have any comments, feel free to send me those comments via report a problem, or also you can also use that for feedback. Opens browser, hey, hi there, nice ScoreFlash. And make sure that this includes about ScoreFlash so that I know what you're talking about. I also have a link to the forums. And about ScoreFlash, this should also be quite nice. It shows you the number that you currently have to make sure you can update all your all the projects that are using that very easily. That's about it. So thanks for watching, and I hope you will get this awesome tool and recommend it to all your friends and write positive reviews and all that kind of stuff. So this is the first thing I'm submitting to the asset store. So wish me luck. Bye-bye.